What's going on? Here with Nate to Wait. This is Crossbeats production, and thank you once again for tuning in. So I wanted to share with you guys this summing mixer. It's a little form factor summing mixer called Little 1.8, and it's by Vintage Maker. I want to give my full review on this product and discuss a few of the features that are on it and what it does and all of that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get into that. Alright, so the summing mixer comes however you really want it to be configured. That's one thing that I find that's a benefit with this company, Vintage Maker. They provide you basically a service. When I was speaking to the owner, his name is Paul. He was actually really helpful as far as, providing the information that I needed to know what I was getting myself into as far as the purchase. He asked me different things about the summing mixer, what I wanted, what I didn't want, all that good stuff. And when it came down to it, he supplied me this summing mixer, which I felt was quite a good form factor. It had 8 channels input and 2 outputs, which are stereo. And the actual little button that's on the front there, which you can see on the photo here, which I'll just bring up now, that little switch that you can see, channels 1 and 2 can be flicked to mono, so it allows you to sum things that you want into mono by using channel 1 and 2 on that button there. So I feel like there's a definite clarity in the mix when you're using analog summing versus digital summing. That's just my opinion. It's been a while in the process of me getting the summing mixer, because previously I used to use a compressor which was analog. I had a Expressor by Alicia Audio, and I never forget when I first put that compressor in my mix, what I got out of it as far as digital versus analog, and that kind of led me on a path to look at other alternatives that I didn't have to worry about recall and all that stuff. And then I came to the fact that summing mixers were going to give me the flavor that I wanted, the analog flavor. And as you can see on the screen here, a little bit of noise, harmonics, and all of that stuff that comes with analog. Not saying that digital is bad. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, this is my flavor, my sound that I want to add to my mix. And that's just what I chose to do. So in the description below, you'll see audio examples of what this can do. If you want to skip to that without hearing me go through all of this information, get down there into the description below, click on that. It'll bring you straight to the audio examples and the capabilities of this summing mixer. So what we're going to do here is just discuss a few things. First off, the summing mixer is, as far as my opinion is concerned, I think it was made really well. When I first saw it and I took it out of the box, which was really packaged well as well, I thought, okay, this is actually quite small. I didn't think it would be that big, but I knew it would be around about the size it is. But I thought, it's quite a good form factor for what you get. It definitely fits on my desk quite well, and it has the 8 inputs that I wanted as well. So unboxing it, and I've taken it apart, so hopefully Paul won't be mad at me, but I actually took it apart, took some photos so you guys can see inside of it what it looks like, and the resistors and all that stuff and the connectors. So let me show you first off the front. So the front is on the screen right now. You'll see that and what it looks like. The back is, as you can see, you can get DB25 connectors instead of the TRS. So if your audio interface has that connection on the back, you can then obviously route it onto a DB25 cable and then onto the back of the summing mixer. You'll see on the website as well, which I've put in the description, that you can get all these different connections put on there if you want. I asked for TRS because that's what I've already got. I already had a DB25 connection with TRS on the end of it, so I've asked for that. He then asked me if I wanted the mono button, which I asked for as an additional thing. And all of these didn't really cost that much to upgrade to either, so I feel like it was definitely a bonus to get that sort of thing there. So I've got that. The other thing that I will look at later on is maybe getting this one's a passive summing mixer, so they can have ones with preamps and all sorts of different stuff in there as well. So I believe there was one with an EQ filter on it also, but he wasn't in stock of that one at the time. But he has all these different types on there, so go check it out, have a look. Anyway, so the summing mixer, the capabilities of this summing mixer, what can it do? As far as clarity in the mix, I feel like there's a form or sound in the mix that you get from analog summing that I found it hard to get in the digital realm. Not to say, like I said, not to say digital is bad. I just feel like it's a bit easier to hear where things are being panned, also hear the frequencies where they're interfering with each other. I felt the easiest thing that I discovered when I first got the summing mixer was hearing masking. And I'll do a video on masking and masking frequencies and stuff like that. But I felt like it was a lot easier to hear clarity in different frequencies inside of the mix when I started to sum my stuff out into the analog realm and then back into the digital audio realm. And that kind of made my mixing a little bit easier and the workflow a bit faster because of the fact that I can hear things easier. I'm not in the best space in my room at the moment, but I'm so used to this room, I kind of know what it should sound like. So then I'm able to mix accordingly. And then when I got this, I was like, wow, I can actually hear things that I kind of couldn't hear before. And the low end frequencies and the way it was perceived to me as well. Definitely a bonus. So have a listen to the audio examples. Let's get this kick and bass. I'll put this back into the mono side of things. And this is just using the digital audio workstation as my summing, I guess using Studio One as the summing mixer. So let's have a listen to what that sounds like and go from there. Let's go. Awesome. So hopefully you guys can tell the difference between the two. I want to show you first without it and then with it. What I've done here, as you can see, I've got the kick here. So this is the kick channel, and then I've got the Moog bass, which is just a plug-in from Native Instruments, I believe. That's where I got that bass from. I've panned that left, so the kick's on the left and the bass is on the right. I don't know if you guys would have noticed here, but in this channel, this is the actual channel that's going for the kick and the bass. That's actually going into the summing mixer. On the front of the summing mixer, which I have a button, I'll show you on the screen right now. On the front, there's that button, so 1 and 2, and then it says 1 and 2 channels. So that you can flick it up or down. So up means goes to mono, down is back to stereo. So it allows me to pan, or I should say sum my channels into mono on that one particular channel. I don't know if you guys can hear the difference, but I can definitely hear the kick kind of sits in its own space and the bass sits in its own place as well. And it makes it easier to then go and EQ accordingly to which one you want there or you don't, or the masking and all that stuff that's happening with that particular instruments together. So I feel like this is a benefit definitely when you're thinking about, you know, using the summing mixer as a summing into mono. Also using the rest of it and then to pan stuff left and right. So have a listen to the channel with the Rhodes. I'm going to pan that to the right and then to the left. I'll do the same thing without summing as well and see if you guys can hear the difference. Let's go. So hopefully you guys can hear what I'm hearing in the difference. I just feel like the instruments sit in their own space. I don't know how else to explain it other than that. That's kind of what I first heard when I started using this summing mixer. It made things a little bit easier as far as decisions to make. Additionally to that, it adds characteristics, which you can see here, this analog characteristic that's happening. So that's a coloration to the sound. If you want your own sound, I guess, you know, using different gear on it will give you your own sound as far as that. You don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars to get summing stuff, or summing mixes, I should say. You can definitely look at these options. This is a cheaper option to choose that. And then you can imprint your own coloration or your own sound there. Some people like to mix just using in the box stuff, which Waves make a bunch of stuff that has analog gear sound like this, but I don't know if it's going to sound exactly like that as far as panning, but that's up to you. That's your discretion. The other thing I want to explain as well, just briefly, is the summing mixer has capacitors inside of it. This capacitor, which I'll just go and show you on the actual website. So where are we? So this is a summing mixer. So it's a passive summing mixer which requires a preamp to make up the gain, or if you have, like I said, a preamp that doesn't, the line amp that has additional gain makeup, you can do it that way as well. You can choose between -15, -20, or I believe it's -30. It's in there, down there below. And then these additional connections on the back here, which you can see, that's a DB25, and it just shows you how to make up the preamp and all that sort of stuff. So the little one 8 has an option here, which this is the 1 and 2 channel. Mine's a bit different laid out. I actually like the way mine's laid out a bit more than this particular looking one here, but again, like, it's up to you. This is channel 16, so you've got up to 16 channels if you want, so you can do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 as the mono. And then additionally, there's a bunch of other ones. Go check it out on his website. It's definitely worth having a look. And TRS, all of that stuff on the back there. So the other part that I just want to talk about as well, this has got the Visray, I think it's Visay Dale military resistor film resistors. I don't even know, I said that wrong, but anyway, military metal film resistors, that's the one. So the benefit that you get from these is the carbon composition resistors, which is more preferred over the general, sorry, I should say metal film resistors are more preferred over the general ones that you can get. The reason is they're low noise, which is talked about on his site as well, and the way that the electronic current passes through the resistor is more insulated or shielded by what's external to it. So if you guys know anything about resistors, it talks about it a bunch on this website that I just went into to have a look at it. It explains what a resistor does. Kind of just a brief overview. It basically just reduces the current. So it blocks the current to a degree. It passes through, and on the outside, which is why you have to make up the gain, it lowers the current, so it goes through, reducing noise and all sorts of stuff and other things, artifacts and stuff like that that may pass through. That's what that really does. So you can see the resistors. I'll just quickly show you kind of what it looks like. You can see the ones that I have in there just as an idea. These aren't the exact ones, but that's the brand that he's using to an effect in his summing mixer. As you could see in the photos I showed you guys before, it showed you internally. It's quite well put together, so I think he's taken his time in assembling the summing mixer, and that's awesome that you see that for such a low price too. So anyway, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Tell me what you use as far as summing mixers as well. I'd be really keen to know. I'm not trying to make you guys like upset or anything like that. I just want to know, you know, what other options are out there, what you guys use, what you think about this one, if you've checked it out, if you know about the brand, if you've seen it before. If you haven't, let me know your thoughts. And otherwise, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.